What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Roundup here on Touchline Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. Apologies for missing last week. I was battling a cold. My voice was basically gone. There was no way I was getting through 10 minutes or so I decided to take the week off. But I am back. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content I put out every single week on YouTube. Two derbies to discuss today. One big point I want to stay focused on for both of them, starting in Spain with El Clasico. And of course, the story here is Jude Bellingham. Not that this is new with what he's been doing this season and what he did at Borussia Dortmund, but I haven't gotten a chance to talk about it, so I want to spend a few minutes. That game did not look all that different than last season, when, as I talked about time and time again, Barcelona were the better team, the more consistent team, and actually got the better of Real Madrid, generally speaking, head to head. It's not like something dramatic changed in the way it looked. That first goal from Gundogan, some shaky defending from Real Madrid, you saw it at other points in the game. It's not like it was this super convincing performance. Now, it also wasn't convincing on Barcelona's side, and part of this is that they have not taken another step from last season. There's a reason nobody really considers them Champions League contenders. They're clearly not where they want to be yet, and they have not improved from last season. Which again goes to this point of Real Madrid couldn't beat that Barcelona team. If you're going to criticize that Barcelona team, which is fair, you also need to criticize Real Madrid for not being able to win that league last season. Because I would argue they should have, if they are what everybody kind of makes them out to be, and for good reason. It was an incredibly disappointing season, from my perspective, if you're Real Madrid. So you go and get Jude Bellingham, who has bailed them out already multiple times this season. You go look at the game-winning goals. Of course, just his goal contributions overall. Again, it's not like they're rolling through La Liga, but he is coming up in these huge moments time and time again, and obviously he basically takes this game into his hands and decides Real Madrid's going to win. With the first one, just a spectacular goal. Then he gets the winner, and all of a sudden, here are Real Madrid in control of La Liga. Thanks in large part to Jude Bellingham. This is about as close as you're going to get to single-handedly carrying a team. And yeah, Messi has probably done something similar in his peak at Barcelona. But it's not like the rest of this Real Madrid team has somehow found another level and they're just dramatically improved from last season. Jude Bellingham is that good right now. And he is that dude. To me, that is really all you need to take away from this game. I don't know if it means Real Madrid can win the Champions League. I don't feel impressed by Barcelona that they are all of a sudden Champions League contenders. Real Madrid are because they know how to win the competition. But I will continue to emphasize the importance of consistency over a league season. They haven't had it. And it's not like they have been terrific this season. But here they are. They turned that 10-point deficit at the end of last season into, I believe it's a 4-point gap right now after this win. Against Barcelona specifically. Obviously, you got some teams between the two of them. But this is now their title to lose. Based on the schedule left and the fact that they've just been better than Barcelona so far. But it's not because collectively they've been fantastic. And I know, obviously, Vinicius was not available in stretches, so now you get him back. That certainly plays a part in this. But it's also a commentary on Real Madrid that they don't have the depth to replace these guys. They need their key guys, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, on the field. And even with Vinicius' absence, it's not like he was solving these problems last season, as good as he is. Jude Bellingham has come in and essentially solved the problem. Because it just doesn't matter that much if you're not playing that well as a team when you have the most informed player in the world who is also one of the most talented players in the world. He is just on another level right now. And I know that's not new. It's not like that was a revelation in this game because he's been doing it all season. But he has, it's only a slight exaggeration to say that he has single-handedly changed the complexion of La Liga. That is just not just how good he's been, but also how clutch he has been in terms of the points he has won for Real Madrid, and now they've got the early advantage in the La Liga title race after winning El Clasico. Then the other one, of course, heading over to England and the Manchester Derby. There's not much to say on this game overall. Manchester City did their thing. Not exactly surprising considering where Manchester United are at right now. There were flashes and moments. A Højlund opportunity here, another moment there. But it's not like this was a game that City were lucky to survive. And once they got the first goal, they were comfortable because Manchester United are not coming from behind to beat Manchester City, or probably even to equalize against Manchester City, or to hold on for a point after equalizing. Maybe they get the equalizer, but then they probably concede another goal once Manchester City start pushing again. Once Haaland converts the penalty, you just don't feel like United are going to really cause any problems, and that's exactly what happened. The bigger point I want to focus on here, though, is the problem United have, which is they are struggling to execute any kind of game plan right now. And this week was a perfect illustration of that. They get Copenhagen in the Champions League. The easiest game in their group stage. A group stage that is not going particularly well. They don't dominate the game the way they should have. They get outplayed for most of it. And credit to Harry Maguire and Andre Onana for having massive moments in seasons where they have been consistently criticized, and Maguire's cage pretty much just sat on the bench, and Onana played very poorly. They both deliver in huge moments to get a huge win for Manchester United. But it's not like that was a good performance. There's nothing that inspires you coming out of that other than they needed the 3 points and they found a way to get them. That was one end of the spectrum, right? A game against an inferior opponent, you should be able to dominate. Then you get Manchester City, the exact opposite, where you get to go sit in, play defensively, and try and hit them on the counter. Which, by the way, Manchester United have done really, really effectively over the past few seasons. There is a reason, and I've said this before, there is a reason why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was able to have success against the Manchester Cities of the world. Why they had these random games against elite opposition where they found ways to win and looked pretty good. Because that team was built to play on the counter. They couldn't break teams down. That was the whole problem. Is that Manchester United was embracing something that's kind of antithetical to who they are as a club. But so Crystal Palace on a random Wednesday or Saturday or whatever day, that game was the challenge, right? They couldn't put anything together consistently. They didn't do what they needed to in the Premier League. But they would show up occasionally and get a win or a point against Manchester City, do the same thing against Liverpool. Now, there were also some demolitions that took place. But they had that in them because those games were the ones that they were built to actually succeed in. And now you have Ten Hag, who doesn't want to play that way, who the success he's had has come from playing the complete opposite of that counterattacking Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer style. And almost 2 years in, a year and a couple months worth of games into this, they don't look any closer to being able to break teams down and anything closer to Erik Ten Hag's Ajax teams. And he keeps talking about wanting to be the best transition team in the world, but they're not doing that either right now. They didn't cause Manchester City that many problems. They didn't stay compact defensively and keep themselves in the game and give themselves a chance. They conceded a penalty. And then Manchester City just kind of grew from there. Which to me is the scariest part of all of this. because United have had ebbs and flows, and I really did think last season was a turning point, and clearly I was wrong. I don't think I was alone in that. But what is the system and the plan that's going to get you out of this? Because even in the lowest points of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, the Jose Mourinho era, there were these games to point to because they had the ability, because they tried to play this way basically every week, that when all of the possession-based teams, specifically City, played into their hands because they were set up to play against possession-based teams like City, they had some success. And now they're not having that success, and they have not come any closer to being able to actually break teams down when they have to take the initiative. You got to find something. They're kind of stuck between these two, that they don't want to be the counterattacking team anymore. And Marcus Rashford is not playing the best soccer of his career anymore. And at the same time, they can't be the team they want to be because they're not executing at a high enough level. They don't have enough answers offensively and enough creativity. I don't know what the solution is there. The quickest fix to me is going back to trying to be more counterattacking, but that's not who Ten Hag is. That's not who Manchester United are. I don't know that's the right answer. To me, that's the best chance of getting results quickly. But that also can't be your main focus because you've got to, at some point, stop this cycle and actually get to where you're supposed to be. And so that's what I came away from this game thinking about is as much as things have been really, really poor, you get the win against Copenhagen in a game you don't play well in at all. Can you build on that by finding a way to get a goal on the counter and at least get a point off of Manchester City, be competitive, stay in the game? And they can't even do that. So you had these two games completely different. These two opportunities for United to prove either we can win, we can perform well this way, or we can perform well this way. Because I know they did win one of them, but they did not perform well in either. You gotta find something to kind of be able to lean back on. And I don't know what that is right now, because they've gotten away from the, well, at least we can counterattack against the best teams in the world. Because they're not trying to be that team anymore. I support that idea, but the execution on the other end of it, of who they want to be, is just not there. And so that was my big takeaway from this game. Those are my two big takeaways from the two biggest games of the weekend in Europe. I'm going to save some MLS thoughts until these best of three series wrap up, and then I will really dive into that. But that is all for this edition of the Weekend Roundup. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.